What is going on, everyone? AP over here at Rump Here Sports, bringing to you once again the Hardwood Live. I think that is that what we call it on Saturdays. Might as well just call what, Kurt?
Big Wood Live, because we all got Big Wood.
Big Wood. I like that, man. Speaking of Kurt, what's going on, my man? We got Kurt. We got JT Hayes. Kurt, what's going on, my man? What are you doing on this Saturday?
I am like nose deep in college basketball's ass. So everything I say is going to be on the fly. I'm not going to lie. Just now finished the college playbook. Been at it all day. Got a little bink last night. So we're feeling good. Going to carry it over to NBA. I'm going to bink that and then call it a day.
Yeah, we needed. So, okay, Stevie Boyton kind of bitching out over the weekend on a massive college basketball weekend. We need to have a chat, Stevie Boyton, whenever you see this. JT Hayes. He what?
He's at one.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just giving him a hard time. JT Hayes, what's going on, my man?
Man, it's beautiful. We avoided the bomb cyclone down here in Atlanta. It's a little bit cold. So I went to the batting cages indoor. I made, some, I guess, what would you say, some lemonade out of lemons. Got there. They only had a jugs machine. So I hit off a tea for a half hour. It was fantastic. Came home, saw Gary's message. And then I spent the rest of the afternoon looking at Spurs box scores. So I am prepared as I'll ever be for this slate.
Yeah, I like that. I've been watching this golf all day and, realize that I have all the golfers that are going on right now. And it's not been pretty for me, but I've used that time to get dialed in for NBA. So I feel good. I feel like this crew right here is going to be bringing the mojo and is going to be finding the winners. First, again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. It helps us out a lot. We do have a promo going on until tomorrow. That's Players 33. It's going to get you 33% off your first payment over here for any of our packages. The SaberSim package is the best. Choose that one, sign up, and let's get going. First, I also got to shout out the crew yesterday. So we had a bunch of our guys in the NBA DraftKings Live Final. JSU, BigT, Hoop. We had Rob Record, and we had a few other members in there. The guys showed up. Now, they ran kind of bad, in my opinion, but they showed up. JSU, 6th place, 150K. Record, 62, 100K. JSU again, 9th place, 75K. Nice stuff, JSU. And then Big T in 10th place, bagging a cool almost 70K. So Big T's moving up with the live finals. I feel like he's going to ship one here soon. It's only a matter of time, I think, for him. But yeah, with that, I don't know. We got a fun slate tonight, like 7 games. Saturday slate. These, I don't know about you guys, but I've had a ton of fun playing on the weekends ever since NFL. JTA's, I just started thinking about it. I haven't done a show with you since the NFL season. The morning, or no, what do we call it? The
middle of the night.
Middle of the night show. But what was the show called? It was
Off the Chalk.
Off the Chalk.
Breakfast on Pure Sports. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm pumped, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. Good mojo. Have you any of you guys want to give us an overview of what you think? JT Hayes, like, what are you thinking about the slate? Just, big picture view.
Yeah, to me, we were talking about this before we went live. It seems easy. You commented last night seemed easy too. The difference here is the chalk we had last night with teams that still had a bunch of guys or coaches that you weren't sure what they were going to do. I'm talking about you, Jason Kidd. Maxi Kleber gets in foul trouble, and then all of a sudden he just doesn't return and doesn't do anything. Şengün, a letdown game after a massive performance. His first start, which, look, it happens. And then you had the New Orleans guys, and that game goes to a blowout. And so you see the backups, Trey Murphy, get a ton of run at 2% ownership. Here, what's interesting about this slate that I like is we have a lot of value options that I think, or clear-cut injury options that we can lean on. We have the situation in Miami. We kind of know that Bam is going to be probably the best guy to play from that team. We have a situation in San Antonio, which we normally would say we hate because it's Greg Popovich, But we saw this exact scenario. We saw this exact scenario on February 26th, the night before the Spurs had played a 3 overtime game against the Washington Wizards, and they sat their big guys. And we saw who played the most minutes. We know that we need to be concerned about guys like Josh Richardson, who played 35 minutes last night. Pop doesn't play these guys back-to-back, these, I would say, second-tier players back-to-back heavy minutes. He would be a guy I'm concerned about on San Antonio. Zach Collins, a guy I'm concerned about on San Antonio because he hasn't gotten minutes and he played 20 minutes last night. You have the Washington Wizards situation. You've got no Porzingis. You've got Daniel Gafford, who could do a lot of damage in 20 minutes. And I think you have to treat Kuzma like a potential stud tonight, not in the same category in terms of maybe 70-point upside that you see from Joker and Giannis, but I think you could see a 60, 65-point game out of Kuzma. It does seem very easy here when you look at the Spurs, you look at Miami, you look at the Washington Wizards, and you look at the studs. And maybe if you want to include one of the Pacers in there just because they're a little bit injured as well, that's fine too. So I think there's a couple of other guys. I've got one under the radar guy that I'm going to have, let's say 10 to 15% of, just because he hasn't done a lot in a while. He hasn't had this huge upside game. We'll talk about that. That's the way I see the slate. I don't think it's much different than that. I think that's going to be the winner, is the value, and either two 12K guys or a 12K guy, an 8-8 guy, and maybe a 7K guy.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much aligned. I mean, I see, Pacers, Spurs as an elite spot. I mean, look at the total there. We've seen the Spurs, like they're, playing for next year. And we've seen these games just play very little defense. These guys run up and down the court. They're going to be playing, Trey Jones and the backups from the Spurs that are going to want to be doing the same thing. We also have the Wizards and Blazers, which I think could be somewhat similar with Brandon Williams coming off a down game, but he's a guy that's shown some nice upside. And now he gets a matchup against a team that I don't think is going to show much resistance. And then we also have the let's see, the Jazz, I think, is a little bit interesting, obviously against the Kings. So a lot of really fun spots on this slate. So let's dive in. And Kurt, I'm gonna start with you. Let's start with this Minnesota at Miami game. Miami is without Jimmy Butler tonight, so that's very important news. And they are 3.5-point favorites. Spread, or the total is 230. It's come down, I think, a little bit. Other things there: Oladipo is out. PJ Tucker questionable. Caleb Martin is out. And then on the Wolves side, Patrick Beverley was downgraded to doubtful. Jared Vanderbilt is out. So and Jordan McLaughlin questionable. So yeah, we have some, major pieces there that are going to be out of this game. A nice total, and potentially, we got to think that we could potentially target a player or two in this game. So what are you thinking in this spot, Kurt?
It's a sneaky spot, because everyone's going to want to stack, do the game stacks. But there is, you see Bam's usage go up so much without Jimmy. It's basically him and Lowry do all the playmaking for the team. So love Bam tonight. I do think a couple pieces in this game are sneaky. You can get them. I like Lowry. I think Lowry's always possible going for 40. I think Beverly being out, even though Russell says he likes to run around and doesn't do much, I think Beverly being out does give Lowry a little bit of a raise, So those two, Minnesota, I saw a couple of the guys got screwed last night taking Minnesota in their live final line. Not our guys, but I don't like attacking Miami. So I know Big T did it last night. He had who he had against Miami? He had Mobley against Miami. Great play on that one on his team. But that's all from me. I don't want to go too crazy on this game. Try to guess which one goes off. That's about it.
Yeah, Mobley, just a little shout out to those guys that played Mobley. Good play, because the minutes are going to be there. No Jared Allen. And speaking of no Jared Allen, that's because, the Cavs are again on the slate. Man, I mean, Bam got whatever he wanted. And so it just goes to show how much better the Cavs defense is with Allen and Mobley in there. But staying on this game, I tend to agree with you again, with Bam. I think he's going to be one of the more popular plays here at center. But there's a lot of centers that we can play on the slate. So it's going to be very interesting. JT Hayes, bring you in with this game. Jimmy out, Vanderbilt out on The Wolves side, Pat Bev, doubtful. What are you doing with this game?
Yeah, you have to like Bam here. My favorite play on the Miami side. And then it's a volatile play, but with those guys out, Duncan Robinson is 3.3K on DraftKings. It's just a tournament play, just a deep tournament play. It's a pivot off of going, let's say, 4 deep on the Spurs. And we'll talk about that and how we want to handle that when we get to that game. The one sneaky guy on this slate that I think has a chance at significant upside, versatile shooting guards and forwards have done very well against Miami. Really the only position outside of the occasional center that have done well against this Miami team. Hasn't shown his upside in a while, but it's there, and his price is down a little bit now. I'm going to have Anthony Edwards tonight, about 10%. He's not a play of the day, but he's a guy that I think could be a differentiator when you're going to see a lot of the same lineups. If you go to that one stud build, let's say you put Kuzma and Edwards together, kind of like that a lot.
Love that call.
I like that call. I mean, it kind of reminds me of, not the same player or anything, but like Cade Cunningham yesterday against a tough Boston team. He went off. And I have interest in that. Anthony Edwards also looked good in the last game that he played. Again, it was against Orlando, but still, he had a nice number there. So, and no one's going to play him, especially on this slate that's like very transparent. As we've all said, there are so many elite plays. Like if you pull up the heat chart right now, you'll see there's a lot of the green on there where I'm trying to identify the best plays on the slate. So a play like Anthony Edwards, I don't even know if I have him on the heat map right now, and I need to add him because I think that's a really phenomenal tournament play, especially a play that you want to have in that $15 where it's $100K to first and like $5K to second where it's top loaded. You definitely want to play like Anthony Edwards. So, I think those are great mentions from both of you. Bam, honestly, like phenomenal play there. He's going to have to play heavy minutes here. I think Jared Vanderbilt being out is also interesting. Jaden McDaniels is a guy that could slide into the starting lineup there. Played 32 minutes against Orlando. But again, we have a lot of value and a lot of elite plays on the slate. So I don't think he's going to be very high owned. And then also, I think it's going to be important to keep an eye on PJ Tucker, who is questionable, I believe.
I think he's questionable. I think they said he's likely to play or some silly language like that.
So if for some reason he didn't play, it would be just another, like I would like this game a little bit more. It's just another defender on the Miami side that's not going to play. So I think this game with all the other games getting a lot of the focus, I'm with you guys. I think this game is interesting. The only guy I can't see myself playing is Karl Anthony Towns. He's had some okay games, but look, like for me, we have Jokic on the slate. We have Bam. We also have Big Jock that we're going to talk about, who is a punt. But the thing about center is you can only play 2 of them in your lineup if you're going to double center build. So I just think these other guys are going to be, and Rudy Gobert, another one, Daniel Gafford. I mean, there's a lot of good centers. So you're going to have to make some decisions at that position. So for me, I'm probably under on the Wolves side. I like the Anthony Edwards call. If I landed on him and I needed, like, let's just say I got a couple studs on my build, I really liked it, and I had 7,600 left, I would be fine putting them in. So I think that's a great call. And then, Bam on the other side for me. The other guy I think that's a little bit interesting is Tyler Hero off the bench. Fast-paced game here. I think Hero is going to be a guy with Jimmy out who is going to get more looks. And, you could go him, you could go Duncan Robinson, like JT Hayes mentioned. So let's move on to the Pacers and Spurs. I think is going to be, in my opinion, one of the really nice games to target. On the Spurs side, let me just review the injury news here real quick, because as JT Hayes alluded to, Pop is going to sit a lot of guys. So DeJounte Murray, Jakob Poeltl, Keldon Johnson, all are going to be out tonight. So those are their 3 main starters. And then, I think what JT has also said is very important here. Guys like Zach Collins and Josh Richardson also played heavy minutes. So creates an interesting situation. And on the Indiana side, Brogdon and Lance Stevenson are both out. Goga, BigT is, or I don't even know how you say his name. JTA. So
it sounded
BigT. It isn't BigT.
Sounded perfect.
I like BigT.
BigT sounds better.
Goga is questionable. Okay. So I think this game could go small and be a ton of fun. Kurt, we'll start with you. What are you doing with this spot?
Love Jock. He helped me win in the Olympics, helped me win, I think, a Summer League. We had him in Summer League, but I know for sure he helped me in the Olympics. So I'm going right back to him. I'm going to eat the chalk on Jones. I like to be kind of different when stuff like this happens and maybe fade Jones and go BigT up or Walker or something like that. But I'm going to go Jones, and then I actually will have a run back. I love Halliburton too. I'm going to run it back with Halliburton. But Jones and Jock are just stone cold locks for me. Sprinkle in Walker and BigT up. But those two are the stone cold locks for me. Simple, sweet. Run it back with Halliburton and maybe Goga just for the brand. But like you said, center position, that's tough. I don't like taking up a spot for Goga, who's shown a good ceiling, but the guy's floor is low.
Yeah. I'm with you there. And the other thing too is like, I kind of, if Goga's out, Jalen Smith, Isaiah Jackson are going to have to play a lot.
Those are guys I'd rather play Goga, honestly.
Yeah. And this game honestly becomes one that you could just stack up, So yep. I think in tournaments, one thing I'm also thinking is if a lot of people are going to be using this really cheap value to get two studs like a Giannis and Jokic in their lineup, you could get different easily by game stacking it. JT Hayes, let's go over to you. So 238 total. The Spurs are only favored by 2 here, I believe, and a lot of people are sitting in this game. What are you doing with this spot?
It's just such an elite spot on both sides. You have Spurs sitting the 3 starters. They're already bad defensively when those guys are playing. So it's an elite matchup for Indiana. The difference with Indiana outside of Halliburton is really tough to predict who's going to get those minutes, right? They have a lot of guys in the front court there that you could see Jackson, you could see Jalen Smith seems to be the guy that has been getting the more consistency and getting 25 to 28 minutes every night. But with the value that we have, those guys at 5K-ish range, sort of in a no man's land, right? If you're going value and then spending up to the 7 through 12K range. So on the Spurs side, like I said, we have a comparator. This happened on February 26th. On that day, the minute breakdown went Keita BigT up 34 minutes, Trey Jones 35 minutes, Devin Vassell. Now Vassell in that game did play somewhere in the neighborhood of 42 minutes the night before. Vassell only played 28 or 29 minutes last night. This is just such an elite spot. I think you could see Devin Vassell have a very significant upside game here as well. So I like Vassell. Lonnie Walker played 23 minutes. He played big minutes the night before. So I think what I'm toying with right now is locking in Trey Jones and Keita BigT up, setting a limit on how many more of these guys I want in my lineup. Like I said, Zach Collins, last time this happened, Collins and Landale actually split almost down the middle. Landale got the bulk of the minutes, 25 to 17, but that was against Miami. This is an elite matchup for centers against the Indiana Pacers. So I think you could go Landale. Collins may only play 18 minutes. He could smash in those 18 minutes. At his price, he could go 10X in those 18 minutes. And then I love Kurt's call with Tyrese Halliburton. I have enjoyed this season, as we all have, playing point guards against the Spurs when DeJounte Murray is healthy and active. He is out tonight. Halliburton is the guy. And the guy that I know nobody's going to play this guy.
Don't take it from me. Is it Durarte?
No.
Oh, thank God. Okay.
No. Now we know where you're going for your play of the day, little bitch.
Your play of the day? Duarte?
But here's a guy in this game that's sneaky that nobody's going to play. Price is a little bit obscene. It's going to be completely different on this slate. He is going to hit so many threes tonight. Buddy Hield is going to hit so many threes, probably rip this team up. This is game stack fully in play. If you game stack this, you could easily get Joker and Giannis. You could get one of those guys and 1 or 2 of the 7 or 8K guys. It's just, you have to play guys from this game. You're not going to come close to competing I don't think, if you don't have 4 or 5 guys from this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. One thing to do, like in Sabre, that I like to do, if you have the time, is bump everyone up, like over project the guys that you're most confident in a game stack, and then make sure your other projections on the players in the other games are all fair and aligned with what you think. You're not trying to just isolate one game, but you want to over project this game and just see how the builds look. I think that's always a really interesting approach, especially on a slate where people are going to be fitting multiple studs. Because what I could see is, like, I could see a build where you go Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield. You go this cheap Spurs plays, and then your other stud, if you want to call him that, Kyle Kuzma, and then, now you're different than everyone because everyone's going to go Giannis and Jokic because they're so easy to get. Man, I could see Kuzma and Halliburton being 2 guys that put up big numbers tonight with Buddy Hield too. So in a game stack in the right script, but something to play around with on the slate for sure. I like the game that JT Hayes was referencing. It was against Miami, right? On the
February 26th.
26. Okay, yeah. Trey Jones. Yeah, the rotations there, it's, looks like Pop is having like a seizure if you pull up the rotations. Because it's just like, man, they like hit in, out. But you do see Vassell and Trey Jones, had the bulk of the minutes there. I like your comments on Zach Collins and Jock. My preferred between those two would be Jock. But I like also the comments on Keita Bates-Diop. So I might be locked arm in arm with you on Trey, Vassell, and KPD. And then, yeah, Tyrese Halliburton, I think, is just the most phenomenal run back. But if Goga's out, I think you look at Jalen Smith. I think you look at Isaiah Jackson. I think are going to be, phenomenal plays there too. And then, yeah, this is a game where Buddy Hield could easily put up a ton of shots and put up a big number. So I think it's going to be back and forth. Honestly, I think this game could go over too, because I don't think we're going to see a lot of defense on either side. The Pacers have not been playing defense at all. The only good defender on the Spurs is DeJounte Murray. I mean, they got other pieces that are decent, but outside of him, they've been just a disaster defensively on the season. So I think this game is going to be a priority to target. And yeah, it's going to be a fun one, and one that I think you need pieces to. Let's move on to the, let's see. I want to make sure I'm not missing any games here. Let's go to Cleveland and Chicago. The Cavs are 5-point dogs here in Chicago, 220 total. Let me check the injury news. We got Lauri Markkanen's questionable, and Karis LeVert is out. And then on the Bulls side, Alex Caruso finally questionable. He might be back here soon. Zach LaVine questionable. Ayo and Nikola Vucevic are both probable in this game. Again, Kurt, we'll start with you. What are you doing with the Cavs and the Bulls?
I don't want to go too much. I kind of want to see if Ayo plays and then LaVine's out and Vooch is out. I kind of like Ayo as a playmaker with DeRozan. He's on a high ceiling. Kobe, I'd rather just play Ayo than Kobe, but if you're I'm not built yet, so if you fall in that 5K range, I really don't have a problem with Ayo. Mobley's hot right now. It's not a great matchup. It's another, we're just trying to help you with some of the off the chalk plays and maybe ride this little heater out of Mobley if you want to get a little different. I don't really have any interest in DeRozan or Garland because I like Halliburton too much there. So there's your expert analysis of this game.
Yeah, I mean, Mobley gets, the slow-footed Nikola Vucevic, and he's going to have to play a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
What? No,
Vooch is out. If Vooch is out, what's his probability? Was he? They're probably both going to.
He's probably. I think he's probable, right?
Yeah, he's questionable, but he's probably going to play.
No, he's all right. So Basketball Monster shows him probable. Not, 99 out of 100 times usually means they're playing. But the thing is Mobley, it's all about minutes, and he's been a consistent producer and gets a bump with Allen out. And I don't think I don't think a lot of people are realizing that. So he went overlooked yesterday. I thought it was a great play. And the thing is like he's getting more rebounds. When Allen's in there, Allen is that rebounding upside goes down drastically. So I think he's a good
He can do so much too. Like he can impact the game in so many ways. The guy is so versatile.
JT Hayes, we'll kick it over to you. Cavs Bulls. Maybe not the best game on paper tonight, but what are you doing with this spot?
I think if you play guys from this game, you're going to be different. And if this game, remember, these teams are much different now. Without Lonzo for a while, the Bulls defense has struggled. Without Jared Allen, we've seen guys have good games where we wouldn't have expected that. Talked about Bam last night. Vooch all the way down to 8-2 on DraftKings. So I think he is interesting as a different play. I actually like Garland here because I don't think anyone's going to play him at 9-2. Lauri Markkanen questionable today as well. That was kind of a midday, don't know if you would call it a downgrade, but the report came out. They played last night. If Lauri Markkanen misses, then all of a sudden you have a really good play in Mobley become a really outstanding play. And I think it's a bump up to Darius as well. I'm probably not going to go to Kevin Love at 6'4" coming off the bench in this spot. He could have an upside game here, though. So even though I'm not looking at him right now, if Lauri gets ruled out and you want to be completely different, I think those are some ways to go. I don't think I'll go with any of the value pieces here.
Yeah, I like, the more I think about this game, if you do target it, you are going to be different. And just looking at what Bam did yesterday, like we've seen Vucevic just exploit like good matchups. And I'm not saying like attacking the Cavs in the paint is necessarily a good matchup. But that's like with Jared Allen in there. Without Jared Allen in there, I think it's an easier matchup for bigs who can get it done in the paint to exploit. So I think if you want to get really different, now this would be very contrarian, but you go Garland with Mobley. I have no interest, especially if Lauri Markkanen is out. Because if he's out, it's going to be all Garland. It's going to be all, Mobley. Like I don't trust Okoro. Okoro would need there to be like 6 guys, and I still think he falls in his number 6 as far as producing goes. I mean, he's a good defender, plays fundamental basketball, whatever. But again, I think you go Garland, Mobley, run it back with Vucevic. I think if you do that, you're going to be very, very different. Again, I don't think it's safe, but Vucevic's price 8-2, that feels a little cheap there. And then maybe if Zach LaVine is out, I think that would help it too, because that's just going to be more offensive usage for a guy like Vucevic. And you would need him to kind of repeat what Bam did yesterday. But maybe it's a hole that they're not able to plug with Jared Allen out. So I think that is I don't want to like overstate this game. I don't like it as some of the other good spots, but I do think it's going to be lower owned. I think there are some scenarios that could be very attractive for DFS. My favorite play is Garland. I think I'm right there with JT Hayes on him. I think Mobley is a phenomenal tournament play. And if you want to get very different, take it a step further and bring it back with Vucevic, who I don't think many people are going to play because of Bam, because of Nikola Jokic, Rudy Gobert, et cetera. So you're going to have a lineup that's way different than everyone else. You guys have any other final thoughts on this game?
Just one on LaVine. I kind of think he plays, but if he doesn't, then you really do have to consider DeRozan as well.
Yeah, I agree. Very good. We got 212 watching. We have 66 likes that I see. JTAs. Are we satisfied with that number, or what are we thinking?
I mean, I didn't even look until you just mentioned, and it's Saturday at 5:00. I mean, look at Kurt. Look at the room that Kurt's in. There are 3 Hungarian women in the closet there waiting for him to get finished. And he has chosen to come on and do this show for you. We could be doing anything. AP could be tilting Daniel Berger. He's not doing that. He's focused on the slate. I could be playing around with the optimizer and having a few tasty Coors Lights, but we're here. 60, all right, now we're up to 70, but that's not even a half. We need to get to 135 at least to consider the plays of the day. 135.
Yeah, I like that number. That's a good number for the weekend crew here. Good stuff. let's move on to this next game. We got probably what will be the game to one of the games to watch tonight. The Bucks are traveling to play the Golden State Warriors. Let's see. Milwaukee 2-point favorites, 239 total there. So some points to be expected, but both teams that like are have traditionally been good offensively, but are also sound defensively at times. Maybe not the Bucks so much this year, trying to fill some holes, on defense, but they're still getting it done. We have a bunch of injuries here. Pat Connaughton, George Hill, which honestly, like George Hill, like when I do the playbook or the heat map each day, he's been out forever and he just keeps getting listed out. So honestly, like I think the Bucks situation is going to be, there isn't anything new injury wise. On the Warriors side, Gary Payton's out, Andre Iguodala's out, Otto Porter is out, and then Draymond Green is out for one more game. He's expected to return here very soon, which is going to be much needed for them. Kurt, let's start with you, my man. What are you doing with this game tonight?
Simple. I'm going to take Giannis. I'm going to take a couple stabs on Kuminga in case Wiggins gets in foul trouble and they need a body just to kind of guard Giannis. But that's it. I'm not going to try to chase what Holiday and Middleton does. Like Middleton goes off when he plays the Celtics. I don't play him when he doesn't play him with the Celtics unless someone's out. Like it's a great real life game. I think you should watch it. But I'm not going to try to, like, you're just reaching for stuff, I feel like. I mean, I like Kuminga because I'm going to play him. He's my kind of guy. And Giannis because since we have all the value, that's it.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is the ABC game and one that we should all be watching. I'll be watching it tonight. One that I wouldn't be surprised if it favored defense a little bit more. But JT Hayes, go over to you, on this slate, you're going to be able to spend up to Giannis very easily if you want to get him. If you want to play Curry at 10K, who's kind of struggled with his shot, maybe coming off an okay game, maybe he's found something. That was against the Nuggets, though. What are you doing with this game tonight?
Yeah, this is a little bit tougher. It hasn't been a great spot for either Curry or Giannis in the past. This is one of those situations where teams have been pretty much the same the last couple of years. You can take a look. And even though there's more scoring, what have you, I think I'm going to be under the field. The field right now is about 28% on Giannis and 11% on Curry. And I think being in line with those numbers is perfectly fine, maybe even a little bit under on Giannis, just because this Bucks team is fully healthy. He could absolutely go for 75 any night. I do think that Steve Kerr is going to focus a little bit more on him. I do think they're going to run some different things to try and at least force the ball elsewhere. And if that happens and he gets into the 50s or like low 60s, then you may be better off going a path of Bam, Halliburton, Kuzma, what have you, going with the studs from the Cleveland-Chicago game. So I want to have some. I'm not playing 150 lineups tonight, just 25. But in those 25, maybe I'll have 6, 7 with Giannis and maybe 2 or 3 with Curry, just in case they have that upside game where I know the rest of the lineup looks pretty good and locked in.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. I mean, Giannis has to be one of the, main studs to get to tonight that I think most people will. He put up I think a 69, almost 70 piece against the Warriors last time they played earlier this year. So, I mean, it would make sense. I think for him, or I think for the Bucks side, that's where I would go. And the Warriors is just tougher. I will say, like, point guards have done quite well against this Bucks team, which is kind of surprises me because Drew Holiday, very good defender, possibly has something to do with just, Grayson Allen being in there, maybe not switching enough when these teams, when these teams are moving. However, without Draymond creates so much offensively. I do think this would be a spot where Drew would be able to kind of chase Curry all around and lock him up just a little bit. So I think I kind of align with you guys. I think for me, this is going to be a game that I am watching, but not necessarily playing. I would much rather play like this Indiana Spurs game, that's just going to be a bunch of backups, going at each other, not playing defense. getting easy buckets. Whereas this game, both teams should be plenty motivated. The Warriors, they need to win games. The Bucks need to win games. Both need to want to be that dominant team, in the East and the West. So it's going to be a game that both teams are trying defensively, especially. So Giannis, the spend up option, I think is the route you go. Curry, if you want to play him in tournaments. The other thing too is, he's point guard eligible. Trey Jones, also point guard. Brandon Williams, Garland. There's going to be, there's a lot of different point guard plays. So I do think if you play Curry, he is going to be lower owned just by default because of how many other good plays there are at that position. Very good. Let's move on to you guys have any other final comments on that game? You both good?
How about just like these games were like you said, like it's on national television, they're going to be like trying to play D. Like it's not just a regular game where we're just going out and kind of playing semi all-star game. Like these guys are going to be on live TV. They're going to treat it almost like a playoff game, like a playoff kind of exhibition game. And you don't really want to target game. I mean, Giannis is different because it doesn't matter what kind of defense you play on him. But everyone else, you just don't do it. It just doesn't make, unless you get a double OT, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they got Looney, and Looney's going to have to play. He's a good defender, but they're going to be attacking him, and it's not like they ever play him over 30 minutes. I bet he plays 28, 29 there to match up with Giannis. But with him off the court, it's going to be, I don't know anyone else on this Warriors team right now that can really match up with him. So the game really sets up well for Giannis, on the Bucks side. Let's move on. Let's go to the to Raptors Nuggets, 223 total. Denver favored by 6.5 points. Injury news: Fred VanVleet is questionable. Malachi Flynn is out. So I think that is important news right there. Just because from a ball handling standpoint, it would increase the viability of Gary Trent or Scotty Barnes. And then on the Nuggets side, we have Will Barton questionable, Aaron Gordon questionable. So I think also significant because we've seen Monty Morris have some good games and we've seen Bones have some good games. But honestly, the Nuggets side just comes down to Nikola Jokic. I mean, the guy has to be the front runner right now for MVP. What he's doing is just incredible. Continues to put up monster numbers. And I think, I kind of think that'll be the case tonight against a smaller Raptors lineup. Kurt, let's start with you. What are you doing with this game tonight?
Starting up top, Jokic going to have a great matchup again. Even better if the other guys are out. Literally, the ball will be in his hands 24/7, like it always is usually. Then if we have Gordon and Barton out, old man Jeff Green has shown some I mean, he's 4,200. I don't know if you're going to fall in that range yet. I'm not built, but if those two guys are out, he's going to play 30 plus, and he's shown against the same Raptors team that he can get 34 plus fantasy points. Maybe definitely safe for at least good cash game play if those two guys are out. Then run it back with Raptors. It feels like Pascal is due for a 50 burger here soon. It's been late last night, but still without VanVleet in the lineup, I can see him going 50 again. I'm not going to chase Gary Trent. I chased him when VanVleet was out before. I think VanVleet being in actually helps him set up better shots. But I love my Florida State boy, Scotty Barnes, running point again. As you can tell, I'm kind of planning for VanVleet to sit because it's the Raptors, and that's just what they'd be doing. But Scotty Barnes, point guard season, 50 burger against Denver. That's what I got.
Yeah, I mean, a tough back-to-back too. So, playing Phoenix, 30, Fred VanVleet played 38 minutes in Phoenix. Yeah, then now going to Denver. So, but if he plays, like point guards have been crushing against the Nuggets. I mean, Curry.
Point guard Barnes. Point guard
Barnes.
Barnes.
Would he be the guy that is run? Because they got multiple guys that can run point. So yeah.
No, they're gonna let him run the point again. I guarantee you, if VanVleet's out, he's gonna run the point. And it's gonna be 50 burger.
Yeah, I like that. 7.4. I don't think a lot of people are going to play him too. And you can play him small forward, power forward. Definitely going to be a way to get different on this slate by going that route. JTA's kick it over to you. Raptors, Nuggets, some injury news. Obviously, Fred VanVleet, very important to monitor. What are you doing with this spot?
I think the news here is big, especially on the Denver side. If you have those guys out, Barton and Gordon, it becomes a spot where I think you have to consider almost locking Joker here. The flip side of that is it does seem like a little bit of a potential letdown spot for the Raptors. Huge win last night over the Suns. Now they travel into Denver at altitude. So the news is big here. If everybody's in, I think I'll be underweight on this game as well.
Yep. Yeah, good point. With that big win, kind of something I overlooked yesterday, just when we were evaluating the Rockets situation. The Rockets were coming off a massive win over the Lakers and young team. And, it was a letdown spot. And the Mavs got it done with some, basic zone defense. And they just, it was a very basic defensive scheme. And then they owned them in the paint with Dwight Powell. It was kind of crazy. And they, the Rockets weren't hitting shots either. And that's what you need to do to break that zone. The thing here, Toronto just hasn't been as good defensively either. They need their whole group. Earlier in the season, they were playing really good defense. They got a lot of length, but it's like they always have some sort of injury situation going on, whether it's Fred VanVleet out, or one of these other guys. So I think it's just been hard for them to get into a rhythm. One thing though, is they've been tough on centers. And so if you were looking for any reason at all to fade Jokic, and Jokic is not a traditional center at all. So, it might be, a moot point, but they've been good. They've held a lot of centers to low fantasy values, but they've given up a ton to point guards. Campaign had a nice game. DeJounte Murray put up 60 on them. Garland, Cunningham, Cole Anthony all had nice games against this team. So I think Monty Morris, if Barton's out, is really interesting. He's shown upside recently. He's been playing good. Had a 38 piece against the Warriors. Now, again, I don't think anyone's going to play him because he kind of falls into no man's land. So, I think if you're playing 150, Monty Morris or Bones are going to be guys that you want to consider on this slate. And then, Jokic. We can talk about the Jokic fade, but the thing is what you're fading with all the elite value out there. If Jokic puts up 70, which he's done in 3 out of his last 4 games, which were 95, 75, 77, 54. If he puts up that 70 piece, you're going to want him in your build because the value out there is going to make it so easy to get a guy like Jokic. So, Kurt, any final thoughts on this game?
Just that I'm on board with Morris too. Morris, if everyone's out, the news breaks right. There's a couple plays in this game to get off chalk.
Yeah, Monty Morris, he's probably going to be under 2% owned. It's just, if you look at Trey John, all the different point guard plays, and you can only play him at that one position. So very easy way to get different, but I do think you want 40 plus upside at that 5.2 price point. Just with, the opportunity cost of other better value plays that you might have to skip over to get him in there. Let's move on to the next game, which is the Sacramento Kings at the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are heavy favorites, back to their winning ways, especially at home. 11-point favorites over the Kings, 228 total. We do have injury news here, though, that we have to address. Mike Conley out for rest. Trent Force is also out. Bojan is in, and he rested yesterday. And then on the Kings side, Sabonis is still out. Jeremy Lamb and Mo Harkless are both questionable. And Rashawn Holmes is he is in. I think he was dealing with some personal issues. He's 3-3 also. Tough matchup, but he's 3-3. JT Hayes, let's start with you this time. What are you doing with the Kings and Jazz?
Yeah, so Jazz on a back-to-back. When you were talking about Monty Morris, the first thing that I started thinking about was, well, damn it, Jordan Clarkson's 4.7. So he's cheaper than Morris. He's potentially going to get the start here in a very fantasy-friendly matchup and get 30 minutes against the Sacramento Kings. So I think again, he's in that no man's land if you're going all value with the top studs. But if you're going to go a little bit different, then I think he's a good play. I think Mitchell's an okay play. Gobert on a back-to-back. Centers have continued to destroy the Sacramento Kings team, but you've got Whiteside who's likely to cut into him at least a little bit tonight. Whiteside is 4-2. I think Whiteside's done some pretty good damage against the Sacramento team. So it's interesting there if you wanted to take a shot on Hassan Whiteside in tournaments, or if you're playing more than a couple of lineups. And then on the Sacramento side, I don't like playing guys against this Jazz team in Utah. And even though Sabonis is out, you mentioned Holmes back in. Look, I mean, Alvin Gentry is the same Alvin Gentry that we've always known. He is going to do exactly what you don't think he's going to do. I think you can count on the fact that Fox is going to play big minutes. At 9-4, though, I don't know if he's up there with the productivity possibility of the other studs on this slate. And then, the Justin Holidays, the Dante DiVincenzo's, I just think there's more reliable value out there for me on this slate.
Yeah, so I have Whiteside on the heat map. The problem with Whiteside is even in a blowout, you're not going to get extended run from him because the Jazz have this third blowout, run unit where it's Azubuike, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jared Butler, Juancho Hernan-Gomez. Did he get moved? I'm looking at an old.
Juancho is. I don't.
He's probably.
I think he's somewhere else, and Azubuike got ruled out.
Okay, so hey, there you go. But I still So Trent Forrest is also out. So I'm gonna have to go back and look at their roster to see what they would do in a blowout situation because that's the one problem. He'll be crushing, and I've played him against the Rockets. I've played him against the Kings, and he still only played under 20 minutes, but he still put up 38, 39 fantasy points in his 18 to 19 minutes. If somehow it was a spot where he had to get that run, then no, okay. Juancho he's with the Jazz, so I think he might be one of the guys that comes in. Either way, I'm going to leave him. I think he's fine in 150 max, but Rudy Gobert, I think, is the guy that at 7-8 here, in a good matchup, he should be able to get whatever he wants. Kurt, let me kick it over to you. Really nice spot here for the Jazz. If this game stays close, what are you doing with this game?
It's kind of like JT said. I don't really feel like the need to target the Kings. Maybe put in some Holmes, hopes that they need his body out there with Gobert, but not really none of them. Clarkson I like the Clarkson call a lot. It seems like it's been a while since he's had one of those games. Do you really think he starts, JT?
He hasn't traditionally, only because Forrest is out, I believe. Basketball Monster has him projected to start. He might not, but 10.5 point spread, 4-7 for Clarkson. He got 30 points last night against the Spurs. I think he could probably do the same. I don't know if I'm going to play him a ton, but he's an option that has upside based on all the injuries that the Jazz have right now.
He would kind of get semi-blowout run too, over Bogdan at least.
Oh, yeah, over Bogdan, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least a semi-blowout run was 25-30. I like Clarkson. That's really the only thing I'm going in this game. Donovan Mitchell under 9K sounds nice, but I'm just scared this game gets blown out.
I'm on mute. I think the way to play this game, if you're worried about a blowout, I still think guys like Donovan Mitchell are fine. Bojan Bogdanovic, I think, is fine, and Rudy Gobert are fine. If you think about it, no Joe Ingles, so he's not going to get in there to take away from anything. Rudy Gay is not really playing much at all, 13 to 14 minutes a game. In the Daniel House, I don't. He's going to be there just, standing, shooting 3-pointers. So you're going to have a lot of usage that's all on Donovan Mitchell, Bojan, and Rudy Gobert, with Jordan Clarkson being a key man off the bench. And Hassan Whiteside also has been a key guy in that second unit. So I think you want one of these guys. Now, I played Bojan the other day in what I thought was a really nice matchup. I thought he's underpriced. I thought he was going overlooked. It was against OKC when he had that like 11 3-pointers. So, I mean, it wasn't like there was a lot of luck there. I mean, for, to call that play, but still, he's been playing well. He followed it up with a 31 piece and then a 38 piece. I think he gets another good matchup tonight. The role that he's going to have to take on here, I think, is going to be more shooting. The ball is going to be in his hands a little bit more too. And so, I mean, I sign me up for Mitchell, Bojan, and Rudy Gobert. I think if you play those three, you highly want to consider a stack. And the way you do it is with De'Aaron Fox. So in a close games, Fox has 40+ minute upside. And Gary highlighted this yesterday in one of our chats that we have. And because he was looking at DeJounte Murray, point guards have actually been producing against this Utah team. So Luka, Shea, CJ McCollum, DeJounte all had nice games here against the Jazz. So if there's any hope for the Kings to keep this within striking distance, has to be on the heels of a big game from De'Aaron Fox. I think another way to get different on this slate, Fox plus Mitchell plus Bojan plus Gobert and all that other elite value. Like go into the Pacers and Spurs game, fill it out with the rest of the pieces from that game. You have a build that I think is in play in tournaments for sure. So that's why I think this slate is really fun. There's going to be some really interesting routes that you can go. Just understand, for that build to work, you need a close game. You need Fox to be the guy to keep this thing close. Can he do it? Yes. I mean, is there a better chance of a blowout? Arguably, yes. So use that for what it is. I think either way, though, if the game does blow out, I think Donovan Mitchell still gets you 50 plus upside at his 8.6 price tag, which is nice. I think Bojan is underpriced. I think he's another guy that can get it done. And then centers have been crushing the Kings. So I think Gobert underpriced. I played Joval yesterday, and I forget who I was talking to, but it was Rubio Dimes, and we were going back and forth. He was on Gobert, I was on Joval. I was wrong. Rubio, you were right, my friend. But I think a lot of people are going to overlook, Rudy tonight, and I think he's in a nice spot and makes for a good play. One other guy to consider on the Sacramento Kings side is Trey Lyles. With Sabonis out, Trey Lyles has been a guy that's been getting big minutes, 35 against the Nuggets. And outside of that one game, he tilted everyone. He has shown, the ability to be somewhat productive when on the court. Harrison Barnes would be the other guy that is going to get a lot of minutes as well. Any final thoughts on this game? This game, JTAs?
Just one, because I see someone talking about Rashawn Holmes. I know that Kurt mentioned him as well. He hasn't played. When he has played, he's been playing like 8, 10, 15 minutes at most. On this slate, I just think it's a wrong slate to take a chance on Alvin Gentry's rotations. They've shown that they seem to have a dislike for Holmes. So,
plus it's a tough matchup. They also have, look at like Alex Len got the. We all thought that Damian Jones was going to start. Alex Len started. He was used as a buffer, and he got absolutely destroyed by Jokic. So then they put in, I believe, Damian Jones, who got 37 minutes. So again, if Holmes can't handle Gobert, they're going to need a big out there at all times with Whiteside and Gobert. But Damian Jones has been the guy that they like to go to. So it'll be interesting. I could see all three guys rotating in as well. So I think that was a good comment, JTAs. Let's go on to the final game of the night. We got the Wizards at the Blazers. Wizards lost last night to the Lakers. LeBron, another 50-point game against a bad team, though. He can't get it done against the good teams. But his team is just an absolute disaster also. We have 221 total. The Wizards are favored by 6 points. We have injury news here. So Winslow is out. Obviously, Anthony Simons is still out for the Blazers. And on the Wizards side, Kristaps Porzingis is out, which makes Kuzma very attractive. JT Hayes, we'll start with you. What are you doing with this final game of the night?
I don't have a lot of interest in the Blazers side of this. And on the Wizards side, it primarily comes down to two guys, Kuzma and Daniel Gafford. I should say three guys, excuse me. Rui Hachimura, still just 3.2K on DraftKings. He's up now. He's playing 25 minutes consistently. If Rui plays 25 minutes against this Portland team, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he gets you to 35 to 40 DraftKings points. So that is really my only interest in this game, is those three guys on the Wizards, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's DK is like way too optimistic on Josh Hart, 7.9. FanDuel has a far more appropriate price tag, 5.9 on him versus 7.9 on DK. So like on FanDuel, like Hart is, in the discussion. On DraftKings, Josh Hart looks kind of checked out. I mean, from the trade, he just hasn't shown anything at all. And I don't know. I mean, you can't really blame him. Like, he's playing with a bunch of, Elijah Hughes, CJ Ellaby, Brandon Williams, Drew Eubanks. I mean, a bunch of scrubs. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I do like Brandon Williams. So this is a guy that in easier matchups, he's shown the ability to put up bigger numbers. 49 against the Wolves most recently. And I'm willing to just like cross off the Utah game. 16 points there, Utah, very tough environment. They play good defense, very tough on him. But Kurt, let me kick it over to you. Last game of the night. Are you fading this game, or is it one that you're targeting?
Mostly a fade. Just a couple inches. Like I said, I like your Williams call. I'm totally on board for that. I've been winning money all year because people keep treating Kuzma like he's just not shit. And I hate him at the beginning of the year. I didn't like it, but people just don't like paying up for him, and he just keeps crushing and getting like 60 burgers randomly. So I have no issue being that guy again and playing shitty ass Kuzma for 9K. That's about it for me. Just those two, honestly.
Yeah. Like, I like Kuzma quite a bit. It does seem like a letdown spot. The Wizards on a road trip right now, coming off a tough loss against the Lakers, but it's also a spot where Kuzma should be able to get whatever he wants. So as a late night hammer, I have interest in him. Rui Hachimura, 3.2. He looked good, and it started to really look good over the last few games, especially on this road trip. So maybe he's a guy that they continue to go to. So he's 31 against Atlanta, 25, 27 in the last two games, and he's 3.2 on DraftKings. So
I mean, him or Kuzma will have a great game. If it's not Kuzma, then they'll run the same action. It'll just be with Rui.
Yeah. Then Daniel Gafford is the other guy too. So, he had they don't give him much run, and they have a wider rotation with some of those guys, but 3.7 on DraftKings in a very nice matchup. Eubanks and Trendon Watford, who is actually, I feel like he's a guy that can produce and be decent. He might be fine, actually. And no one's going to play him at 6.1, but I do think he's in play. I like him definitely on FanDuel at 5.7. But he's going to go overlooked in this game. But we've seen bigs do well against the Wizards. Now, LeBron isn't really a big, but he had a big game against them. But if you go back further than that, historically, bigs have done well against this Wizards team. So Watford over Eubanks would be the guy that I would like. And you can play him. You don't have to take up a center spot to play him. So I think you're going to get different if you play this game. Brandon Williams, I think, is very interesting and viable on the slate. He was chalk against the Jazz, and I don't think he's going to be chalk tonight. Like, he was played heavily against the Jazz, which was a tough matchup. So I think if you played him in that matchup, you should go right back to this one. A much better spot. The Blazers are projected to be in this game. I could see him getting it done. It wouldn't surprise me at all for him to act as one of those hammers that put up 45 to 47 at the end of the night in a close game. If I'm playing him, I definitely want to have Kuzma in that build. I think Kuzma, nice spot here, 8.8, fair price tag. He's shown big upside on the season. So I'm with you both on that play. And then it's like the guard rotation, I think we can move off of that. KCP, Ron Neto, Ishmael, those guys.
27 minutes last night. I mean,
It's it's did he get 27 points, right?
He played 20 minutes. Maybe it was 20.
Oh, yeah. I see that. Yeah, so they got a really, wide rotation in the backcourt.
Yeah.
Very good. Let me just check on the chat. We are, getting back to it. We got 150 likes. What was it that you said, JT?
135. 135.
Hey, there we go. We're good. We can get to the plays of the day. And before we do that, again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Just any kind of final things to sum it up before we get into our plays of the days. JT Hayes.
No, I think like I said, it seems pretty easy. You're going to make a choice between going with those two 12K guys and taking all the value, or maybe going with one of those guys and taking one of the guys like a Garland, a Kuzma, Halliburton, I think is probably right there at the top of that. And then guys like Bam, Markieff Morris is available to play for Miami. So a little bit more cautious about that PJ Tucker rotation there. If you were thinking about him, which I was not. And then some of the wild cards, the Anthony Edwards, the Kuzmas of the slate, which I think are good plays.
Yeah, very good. JT Hayes, are you posting a core tonight?
Yeah, I'll put one up.
All right, cool. I was just looking at that. We got Glock, DC, and Kurt Jones on the core play sheet tonight. But tag it if you remember, and if you have questions, don't be I know what's going to happen. Like, we're going to pull up Discord. People are going to be freaking out where the core plays. Lock is 1 hour later tonight. So give us a little bit of time. The plays will be up. The cash chart will be up. The heat map will be up. The playbook, I believe, is up. Let's get on to the plays of the day. Kurt, what's your play of the day called? I'm kind of nervous to ask, to be honest.
I think it's the tanning bed play of the day.
The what?
Tanning bed play of the day.
The tan? Okay. So what's
you got a fresh tan this morning.
Oh, tanning bed. I thought you said like Tang Bay. I'm like, what the?
Tang Bay? What the?
I thought you're a young guy. I thought it was like slang for like something, related to like a booty call or something.
I thought I heard gangbang. I don't know.
Yeah, the gangbang play of the day. Kurt Jones.
Yes. All right. It is the tanning bed play of the day. It is going to be, I don't like playing guys I like playing like low 10%, maybe even lower guys for my play. So I'm going to go Chris Duarte. This is with everyone out with them. I think he definitely gets a big minutes boost, and he's someone who can get hot. And when he gets hot, as my phrase is, he will keep shooting. And Halliburton will obviously still get his, but Duarte can post a big score when he gets the minutes and usage, and I like him for my tanning bed play today.
Yeah, I like that. Very, very good. JTAs. Is it still the Eiffel Tower play of the day?
Still the Eiffel Tower play of the day.
All right. Eiffel Tower play of the day, JT Hayes.
Eiffel Tower play of the day. Today it's brought to you by 1664 Blanc, the best French beer this side of Europe. And it's tough today because it's a pretty easy way to build, right? A couple of different decisions that we've talked about. Chris Duarte, fine play, interesting. It's an interesting game stack. But this has been a spot all season long where opposing point guards have just absolutely demolished San Antonio Spurs without Malcolm Brogdon, without some of these other guys. Now that Sabonis is gone, of course, he wasn't there. Tyrese Halliburton at 9K, going to be low owned, right in the 10% range. I think he's going to put up 60 fantasy points in this matchup. Tyrese Halliburton, Eiffel Tower play of the day.
I love that. I think that's I know Titletown is working on MMA probably or watching it. But that's Titletown's boy. This is a matchup that Halliburton will just absolutely crush though. So phenomenal play of the day, JT Hayes. I think mine is still the gentleman's call of the day. I'm gonna go. Okay, so like for me, when I look at this, like I see a lot of really elite plays at the point guard, shooting guard position. I see a lot of very elite plays at the center and power forward. I think small forward spot looks a little weak. So I think Chris Duarte, very, very nice tournament play. I'm going to go Bojan Bogdanovic. I used him the last time I was on the show, I believe. He did not let me down. He's been absolutely on fire. He's 5'3", Like, I think he, I think a lot of people are going to go to Vassell, who is a very good play. I like him a lot. And you can play him at shooting guard also. But I think Bojan, kind of gets, forgotten about there at the 9:00 slate or slate of games on the slate. So Bojan is going to be my play of the day. Again, it could all change. Like there's been times where it's like, oh, he wasn't in your core or whatever. This was like it could change. We have a lot of time until lock. Like if Deuce hits that we weren't expecting, the plays can change. So officially, always be in Discord, always be updating the core play sheet and the other pieces of content. With that said, I'm looking forward to the slate tonight. I think we did a good job, fellas. Kurt, what do you got? What do you got on tap tonight?
Man, everyone go check out the college playbook. You got 8 minutes to enter a lineup. You got the college playbook done. Then we're going to run it back Sunday with championship day. Also, I'm pretty sure Steve will still be gone.
So there's nothing on tap, though, tonight? You know what I mean?
Oh. You got to give me a wink or something. Damn. No, I actually just came from I was almost late. I thought I was going to be late.
He's got to let those Hungarian chicks out of the closet now. The party starts.
You put a lock on there, Kurt?
It's time to party now, baby.
JJ's, what do you have going on tonight?
Gonna go to dinner with the wife, watch a little NBA, have a little fun, hopefully ship, and that's it. Get ready for Sunday.
Yeah, I agree. All right, fellas, good stuff tonight. Helmet, get us out of here.